The topic of our webinar today is the silent crisis in dental leadership called financial disassociation. And in preparation for this, I went back and revisited a book that I read several years ago called The Psychology of Money. And there was a segment or section in here that I thought would really do a good job setting up all of us from a mindset perspective about this concept of financial disassociation. And we'll get rocking and rolling. So I have his book right here. It's The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel. And I have just a couple of paragraphs that I want to read. Two topics impact everyone, whether you're interested in them or not: health and money. The healthcare industry is a triumph of modern science with rising life expectancy across the world. Scientific discoveries have replaced doctors' old ideas about how the human body works, and virtually everyone is healthier because of it. The money industry, investing, personal finance, business planning, is a whole nother story. Finance has scooped up the smartest minds from top universities over the last many decades. Financial engineering has been one of the most popular finance courses to take. Yet, is there any evidence that all of that effort on the finance side has made us better investors, and has it made us better with money? The author claims that he has seen none. Through collective trial and error over the years, we've learned how to become better farmers, skilled plumbers, and advanced chemists. But has trial and error taught us to become better with our own finances? Are we likely to bury ourselves in debt? More likely to save for a rainy day, to prepare for retirement, have realistic views about what money does or doesn't do to our happiness? The author again here says, I've seen no compelling evidence. So when we talk about finance, especially in the context of the dental industry, we have to give ourselves a lot of room and a lot of credit for the stories and the storylines that drive what we do and how we use money. Money's everywhere. It affects all of us, and it confuses most of us. And so in getting into this topic, I'm so excited to crack this open and expose some things that have created challenges, I think, for a really long time. So um, the focus here is with practice owners, DSO owners, operators, really anybody in the dental industry that has anything to do with the finances. And I'm really hopeful that this is going to be helpful. So let's go ahead and move to really quickly. Um, the psychology of money and reading all of that. It was all about setting up the setting the table for what financial disassociation is and how we're going to reconnect you back to the money side of the business that you're in and that you're running. All right, let's go to slide 2. The first question that I have here is what really are your money beliefs? Are you somebody that believes that you're not worthy of money? Are you somebody that has an abundance mindset around finances? Are you somebody who shies away from looking at financial statements and being involved in money and maybe investing money in the stock market or other various places? It's important that you take a quick inventory here and ask yourself, when was the last time that you felt truly in control of your money? And that this includes what's happening in your home. It includes what's happening in your business, dental practice, dental group, or whatever it is. So, and when I ask this question about, when I ask about when was the last time you felt truly in control, what I'm really saying here is, and what I'm really asking is, are you not, are you just aware of it? Are you just not getting updated with it? Or are you in control of it? That's the big thing that's going to drive great outcomes as a leader from a financial perspective. So many DSO leaders share with me basically in private these types of things. I'm going to take sort of an amalgamation and just give you like one core statement. Ken, I feel like the money is moving faster than I can understand it. And I'll be honest, like I have a lot of empathy for, especially for doctors and practice operators that don't have, any training in finance. All of them that I've met and worked with, they're all super smart. They all do great at chairside and as a clinician and those sorts of things. But dentists generally just don't have a great source of financial education. And because of that, this statement of, I feel like the money is moving faster than I can understand what's going on and what I'm supposed to do with it. That really rings true to me. And I want to validate that those that struggle with money are, it's okay. And there's a way out. That's what I'm trying to say. So there's this feeling when we're trying to lead, that's where we get the beginning of this disassociation. It's a moment when money stops being a tool and it's can actually start to become a threat. All right, let's go ahead and to slide 3, please. So there is an identity shift that occurs here. Most DSO founders began as clinicians, chairside, working with patients. And clinicians are trained to create value through production, through their hands, their chair time, being right there with the patient and coaching them and helping the patients be successful. But CEOs or leaders of dental practices or leaders of dental groups, the way they create value is not by being chairside anymore. It comes through the systems and processes that are put in place. It comes through the organization and the leadership of teams of people. It comes in the form of driving capital allocation, strategy, culture. It's not a small shift. I mean, from going from chairside to taking on all these responsibilities is very, very big and can be very, very heavy and overwhelming. It's a full identity transformation at the end of the day. And so many leaders get stuck in between these identities, producing like a clinician while attempting to try to lead like a CEO. The gap creates a ton of confusion, and confusion is always going to fuel avoidance. Meaning, I don't want to have to face this. I don't want to have to take this on. I just want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Go ahead and to slide 4, please. So this creates an identity gap. And the identity gap gets really dangerous because pressure takes hold and the pressure of looking around, seeing what everybody else is doing, everybody else is growing, it drives pressure to grow. More practices, more locations, more revenue. After all, in the DSO world, acquisitions are the badges of honor that everybody wears. But here's the real truth. Revenue isn't the same as progress. It just isn't. I've seen organizations that are scaling rapidly while their margins are quietly collapsing. Growth without clarity is not growth. It's actually just drift. All right, let's jump to slide 5. So, what is this financial disassociation? It is a psychological detachment from financial reality, not because leaders are irresponsible, but because the numbers trigger any number of emotions, but mainly fear, overwhelm, or even identity conflict. And I want to talk really quickly, very early about somebody that I saw this with, and I didn't have the tools and the understanding to help them back when I came across this. But there was a client that I was working with in a fractional CFO capacity. This was many, many years ago. And she was very smart, very capable. But every time we were going to have a financial conversation, she would freeze up and she would be afraid of what are the numbers going to say and how do I need to respond to them, and I don't understand what all of these things are, and these are big words and complicated things that are being put in front of me and that are being shown to me. And I wish that I had had some of the tools that I now have to try to address that. But it was a very stressful event to the extent that she would show up to the financial meeting, but was very disengaged. She was there because she knew she needed to be there, but she really didn't want to be there. And everything about it felt uncomfortable to her. And it had a lot to do with, her upbringing around money and so many different things that go with it. So this fear, this overwhelm, this identity conflict, what that what that ends up creating is it looks like it's like you're looking through a dashboard through fog. You just can't see everything very well. You can maybe see some shapes. You might be able to make out a few details, but it does not work. And when the dashboard is foggy, leaders will default to instinct, emotion, and adrenaline instead of intentional decision making. So, again, this is this concept of financial disassociation. And we're going to now talk about some things that we can start to do to start to pull away from this situation. So, let's go ahead and go to slide 6. So, a couple of ways that we can identify financial disassociation. One of them is that it doesn't look like recklessness, it looks like busyness. So lots of busy, but a lot of avoidance around what's really happening and what the truth is. It looks like avoiding detailed financial reviews. It looks like over relying on advisors to just handle it, running the company by gut and not by data. And here's the biggest one in my perspective. It's when abdication becomes disguised as delegation, meaning, oh, I have somebody who does that for me. They're looking at that. I don't know what the numbers are. That is not how a leader should be running an organization. Even if you've got great people around you, as a leader, you've got to get comfortable and teach yourself and do whatever you have to do to feel confident around what's happening in your business financially. Abdication is not acceptable in this area. It cannot be. We can certainly delegate things, but we cannot give somebody the entire responsibility for it. We have to be engaged with it. Delegation means we stay connected while empowering others to execute. That's great. Abdication is when you step away completely because the numbers feel intimidating or they feel uncomfortable. That means that you have, or yeah, you're in the process of experiencing financial disassociation. Leaders tell themselves this: I trust my team, but internally they feel relieved not to look at the financials. And that's the danger because you can't lead what you avoid. I'm going to say that again. You cannot lead what you avoid. So these aren't just financial problems, by the way. These are psychological responses. This is a nervous system that's trying to protect itself. Let's go ahead and go to slide 7. So I want to tell you a story now about a 6 location founder in the dental field. A founder that I worked with grew from 1 location to 6 in under 3 years. So that's very rapid growth. The growth, it looked amazing. It looked spectacular. The Instagram posts were amazing, even better than anything else in the process. But behind closed doors, he confessed that he hadn't looked at his profit and loss statement in more than 6 months. He confessed that, uh, sorry, uh, and the way he said it to me was, "I'm afraid of what it's going to say." He's afraid of even looking at his financial statements. Well, there's a pattern. Fear grows into avoidance, grows into loss of control. That's the cycle of financial disassociation. So again, we are fearful of what might be happening financially and what consequences may be there. And then we avoid the conversations and maybe even being, hit with what these problems are. And but what ends up happening is a loss of control over the financial situation in the business and a leader that is very unempowered to actually build a great company, a great organization. So this is true, and I just want to make sure that everybody is clear with this. This is true if you are running your own single location practice, if you're running a DSO with 40 locations, this financial disassociation can still creep up on even the people that you might think have it all handled. They've got everything, perfectly buttoned up and everything's good to go. This is a true issue that can actually it can really diminish a company's capability for growth. Okay, so last thing here. Or actually, let's go to slide 8. I think we're ready for slide 8. So when leaders connect, I'm sorry, when leaders disconnect from their financial reality, the cost can be very high and it can compound quietly over time. Cash will begin to leak, debt will grow faster than the insights that are needed to manage the debt and to outgrow the debt. Growth becomes reactive instead of strategic. Leadership becomes firefighting instead of using foresight. And the real tragedy isn't the numbers. The real tragedy becomes the loss of the peace of mind that everything in the financial house is in order, at least to the degree that it can be. The first step, oh, so how do we break financial disassociation? Here's the first step. It's to reconnect through rhythm. Every high performing DSO or even single dental practice that I've ever seen or ever worked with has 3 core rhythms. Number 1, monthly accrual-based financial statements, and a discussion about what's happening and what we can learn and how we can potentially improve the performance of the business over time. So that's number 1. Number 2, weekly KPIs. Very, very easy, simple. I shouldn't say that because I think to some degree we sometimes have too many KPIs, but to the degree we can create a nice set of maybe 5 leading and 5 lagging indicator or KPIs, those would be the things that you want to get reported to you on a weekly basis, and you focus on driving the performance of the organization through these KPIs. And the third item is to put in place the 13-week rolling cash forecast. This rhythm, having these 3 things, I'll say them again one more time. The first is our monthly accrual-based financial statements that we review and talk through, our weekly KPIs, and then our 13-week rolling cash forecast. Those 3 things can become the anchor that allow you to reconnect and not be disassociated from the financial elements of your business and of your personal life, to be honest, because business and personal life for founders and owners, the two tend to can definitely get intertwined. Rhythm like this creates predictability. Predictability creates safety, and safety reopens the leader's ability to engage with clarity. All right, let's go to slide number 10. So the strategy that I was talking about there, where we reconnect, the first thing that we're doing is we're reconnecting to our financial information and all those sorts of things. The second one that I need to talk about here is what's called scarcity versus abundance. Once the clarity returns, another tension will emerge: scarcity versus abundance. Hold on to everything. Oh, I'm sorry. Scarcity will always tell us, hold on to everything. Don't hire, don't spend, don't trust anyone, don't let anybody in. Abundance says, spend, borrow, expand. Future growth will cover it and solve all the problems. Both instincts are helpful, but both can be very, very dangerous. Financial disassociation pushes leaders toward extremes, meaning I'm going to be all abundance minded, I'm going to be all scarcity minded. And as I said, really the combination of the two create the most healthy way to build and grow a dental practice. So, financial disassociation, it pushes the leaders towards these extremes, but real leadership lives right in the middle where we've got a good balance between abundance and scarcity. All right, let's go to slide 11. For strategy number three, um, this is what I call confident constraint. The alternative to scarcity or abundance is this concept of confident constraint. It's not about having more resources. It's about having more control over the resources that you already have. Confident constraint sounds like this. I know my numbers. I trust my process. I invest with intention and not with impulse. Clarity is the anecdote here. When you see clearly, you will choose wisely. But if you're disassociated from your financial information, you're ripping away the opportunity for you to use that intuition and to continue to build your business in the most profitable and most healthy way. All right. So now we got to go to slide 12. So, what financial freedom really is? We often think about financial freedom as meaning more money or more practices, but that's not freedom. It's just not. Freedom is when you have clarity. Freedom is knowing exactly what's happening in your business and not being afraid of it and not running from it or hiding from it. I'm going to say that one again. Freedom is knowing exactly what's happening in your business without fear. And financial freedom begins the moment that your numbers stop threatening you and they start empowering you. And so, as we start to wrap up this webinar, there is a framework that we can put together here really quickly to think through. The first one is okay, how often do I have a rhythm where I'm getting updated on the financials of my business? That's number one thing. You should be getting that. Number two, if you have any anxiety going into that, then talk to whoever it is that's helping you and tell them, hey, I don't understand this. Hey, can you educate me on this? Hey, why do you say this and not this? Make those advisors around you earn their keep and teach you and train you. This is one of the great hacks of life is if you've got smart people around you, awesome, but don't let them be the only smart ones. You need to learn how to you need to learn these things and get comfortable with them and not deviate away from them. And so in wrapping up and in closing, and sorry, I had a couple other things. So we've got to engage with financial information, allow ourselves to be trained if we feel inadequate or incompetent in some area of all of that. Get the advisors around you to do it. Do not abdicate the financial part of the business. You can delegate, but you need to be involved with that on a regular basis. And if you find yourself getting pulled away from it or feeling having negative emotions towards it or any of those kinds of things, that's where you've got to look around and say, oh, what's out of what's out of whack in terms of the way that I'm thinking about the finances of my business and where I'm trying to go. So really quickly now, just to wrap up, I want to just share a couple more things. I want to go back. If you remember, we talked about the psychology of money, and how there's this crazy thing of everybody has their stigmas about money and about finances in general. And for you to take a minute, understand those about yourself and learn how you can overcome perhaps maybe some weaknesses that you have in that area. We talked here about the identity shift that happens when you go from being a provider to a CEO or the leader of a business or a dental practice or DSO. And so you've got to be really careful as you go through that your identity doesn't turn you into somebody who isn't taking on the leadership role as much as they need to around the financial part of the business. Let's see. We also talked about the pressure to grow and how that can become very, very dangerous over time, especially if you're not really connected in with what's happening financially in your business and really taking ownership of it. We also talked about exactly what financial disassociation is, which is this psychological detachment from financial reality. And it's not because the leader is being irresponsible, it's because there are triggers like fear, overwhelm, and identity conflict that crop up over time. And we also talked about how financial disassociation doesn't look like recklessness. It is when we are really focused on the best things to do to build and to grow the business. That's how we get out of the disassociation complex. Then we talked about the example that I shared of this lady that I'd worked with for a long time, and she really, really struggled over the years to have any confidence whatsoever in the financial area of the business, and it hurt her for a while. I spent a lot of time training and helping her and getting her to where she could be very confident. She would still tell you that she doesn't always understand every little piece of financial data that comes through, but it's very, very possible to get very confident about the financial part of your business. That's a big, big takeaway. And then we talked about when you disconnect from the finances of the business, then there's a compounding effect that can occur very quietly where you can leak cash or growth can become reactive instead of strategic. Those very, very critical things. And then we also talked